Perfect. It's recording now. Okay, so hello once again. Hello everyone. I'm extremely excited to see you here. As Kevin said at the very beginning, if you'd like to turn your cameras on, it'll be great. If not, that's also fine. This presentation will be mainly me speaking. Hi, Katie. However, yeah, if you have any questions or anything's unclear or you'd like me to elaborate on something, please let me know. A word of warning, I'm recovering from an illness, so sorry for any sound effects that are happening in the background. Try to mute myself. But for that reason, I'm going to have to take short breaks to cough and drink some water. Without further ado, what we're going to cover today, well, we're getting towards the end of the year, surprising as it is, because I don't know, honestly, how it passed so fast. Well, getting to that point where a lot of us will be thinking about maybe summarizing the past year or having some reflection or, setting goals, New Year's resolutions and all that kind of stuff. In general, any time is good for setting goals, but 1st of January seems like a nice kind of clean sheet. So today I thought it would be useful for us to look into this, how to set goals for 2025. We'll look into vision to build strong motivation, a strong foundation for motivation. Look into setting goals with a small step method, basically how to break it down, how to make it sustainable, how to develop a plan. And I'm also going to cover some mistakes that are quite common among people. The scientific research behind some of them. Some of that is anecdotal from my work with my coaching clients and also from my own experience. So I hope that, spotlighting those a little bit will help you reflect a little bit on your practice. Who am I? Very shortly, Ola, and I'm a personal effectiveness coach. I work predominantly with women in tech, but not only. And yeah, I would love to share a little bit of my experience and knowledge with you. So, question number one. Why goals? Why goals? Why should we even bother? Because you're here, I assume that you all want to set some goals, or you probably do set some goals. But why do we actually do that? Why is it worth doing in the first place? Well, if we look at the definition of goals, goals are outcomes of an action that is guided by intentional efforts. And this is the key word, intentional. Everything that we do, if we want to be effective, if we want to work on our personal effectiveness, is we need to be intentional about what we're doing. And goals are, I would say, a tool that helps us to define the direction. As a result, we can increase productivity, personal effectiveness, and improve our quality of life. But I think the most important thing is they're a tool for taking responsibility for our future. So that we're now not like a leaf in the wind. If the wind comes from the right, we go to the left. If it comes from the left, we go to the right. We're actually having more of an impact, more of an influence, and we're adding more of a direction, more of a trajectory to our lives. And this is incredibly empowering, and this has impact on our perception of ourselves and our self-confidence, self-esteem. According to Harvard Business Study statistics, one thing that I found quite interesting that I thought I'll share with you is that the 14% of people who set goals, so as opposed to 86%, if my maths is correct, of those who don't, they achieve 10 times more success than the people who don't. So basically, setting goals is really important. And another thing that was found when they ran this research is that only 3% of those people have their goals written down, and those who do have them written down are 3 times more likely to succeed compared to the ones who don't write down their goals. Conclusion is quite simple, and the first thing to remember, it's worthwhile to have goals set and to actually be intentional about setting them, and it's very important to write them down if we want to increase our chances of being successful. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about so-called goal map and how to approach setting goals. Well, first of all, we would have to start with a vision, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in a minute. And I personally believe that this order is really important, that we define the vision, and then based on the vision, we find the big goal or big goals. So we're going to focus on like one line here, but obviously vision can spread into many different paths. So we have the big goal. We then break it down into milestones. Then we break it down or find mid goals I want to work on. And then we create a weekly plan. And most importantly, we execute that plan. So when it comes to live vision, why is this important? I think that we sometimes, and again, from my experience working with clients, we sometimes, what we do is we follow the path that is quite often taken. We work really well, we're climbing up the ladder years after years after years, and then we realize, unfortunately, we're quite high up the ladder, but the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall. And so it's really important to be intentional, not only about, how much we're doing, because we may run into that busy fool syndrome that I mentioned in one of the previous session that I ran, if you were taking part in that. But that we actually focus on a vision that is close to our heart, so that we are working intentionally towards the goals. That's why I think establishing the vision is important, and it's important to do it in the first place. There are some questions that could help you to establish your vision. You can basically ask yourself how you want your life to look like in a few years, how you want to spend your days, what your perfect day would look like, with whom you'd like to be, what values you'd like them to display, how you would like to feel, what feelings, what emotions you'd like to feel on a daily basis, and then look into what activities give you or provide you those emotions. When you want more of, less of in your life, in what areas you want to excel, how do you want to feel, and most importantly, and the kind of like a general, more generic question, what is your personal definition of success? So what is it that makes your heart sing? Now, what is prescribed, by the society, by the surroundings, by what it is that appeals to you. And now I have worked with some clients who said, I want a house, I want a white house with 3 bedrooms, I want a blue fence, 2 children and so on. And they have a very specific vision. That's absolutely fine. I've worked also with clients who don't have such a specific vision. They say, oh, well, I don't really know what I want. And the truth is, my opinion is that we do know what we want. Some people maybe don't have the vision so specific, and they maybe don't know all the details. Maybe they're more open to what life would bring, but in general, we have some preferences. We sometimes may just not see them. And in this case, I really recommend working with the subconscious. And how we can do that is we can create vision boards. So we can have some newspapers, we can find pictures that basically appeal to us. We don't even have to rationalize that a lot. We don't need to analyze it at first. We just see what kind of, what appeals to us, and we can use those elements to do that. And then we can ask ourselves questions like, what did I find attractive about that? What, why this picture? What does that remind me of? Or, all sorts of things like that. So instead of thinking first about answering those questions, we can first look into, let's say, answers and find those elements, and then ask ourselves why we think those are important and how, they would fit into our vision. If you don't like cutting and using glue and all that kind of stuff, you can do that using Pinterest as well. The good thing about Pinterest is that obviously there's an algorithm, so once you start selecting the stuff that you like, it might enhance your research. So I really recommend doing this. Once we have some sort of a vision and we feel fine with that, we would want to define a goal, or a few goals, but let's start with one. Something that we'll call a big goal, which is basically a long-term goal. So let's say someone created a vision board and they want to find a job. Example of a goal: I want to secure a job as a React developer that allows me to work from anywhere in the world, because that kind of links to the vision. Maybe on Pinterest they found some nice palm trees, some laptops, and I don't know, code, whatever. What is important at this stage, you probably are all aware of the SMART goals. we want to make this quite specific, and there's a special checklist that I use. I basically check if the goal is precise. So do we actually know exactly what we want? Is it coherent with your life vision? So is it really fitting into where you want to be going? Is it really going to help you to reach that North Star? Is it attractive to you? Like, what do you feel when you think about this? Is it just something that, you know, you want to do because this is just now, it's just now an Instagram hype that everyone wants to be, you know, a remote worker? Or do you actually feel you're called that this is something you want to do? Is it achievable? Sorry. Do you know any people who have achieved that? You know, do you feel like it can be done? Is it sufficiently challenging? So is it going to give you that kind of excitement and motivate you that you actually need to put some work in? Are there specific criteria for completion? So again, here we will, how will you know that you achieved that goal, right? So in this case, once you will secure this job that allows you to work from anywhere in the world. And is it really yours? Is it something, as I said, is the ladder leaning against the right wall? Again, that kind of links to the vision, but it's always worth double checking. Now, unpopular opinion, SMART goals always say that you should have a deadline when it comes to your goals. I would say that when it comes to big goals, it is optional. Why I say that? Because people are different. And when you think about a goal, for example, oh, I want to have, you know, a company that, I don't know, or I want to have, let's say, a business and an Instagram account with 1 million followers in a year. Can it be done? Probably can. I mean, there are probably some people who did that, or maybe, I don't know, a million maybe is a bit too much, but let's say, I don't know, 100,000. However, when you think about this vision, and let's say you haven't even started your Instagram account yet, how do you feel about this? Does it excite you? And for some people, it might cause that dopamine spike where they think like, oh, wow, this is exciting. It's a big goal. You know, let's go get it. For some people, it might become overwhelming, because if you give yourself a deadline of a year and you haven't started your Instagram account yet, and after 3 months, you've only got, well, you have 1,000 followers, you will start benchmarking yourself and comparing yourself to that end goal. And you basically potentially start feeling that, you know, you're not really getting there. So I think for the big goals, you really need to know how you feel about that, because again, if you transition your career, sometimes maybe you'll need a year, sometimes maybe you'll need 2 years, but you will get that in the end. It's just about how you feel about giving yourself a deadline for this big goal. Once you have the big goal, so again, sorry, wow, this is hard. Once you get to the point where you've set the big goal, and in this case, we again use this example of securing a job, you want to break it down into smaller steps. And here, what I like doing is a kind of exercise where you set yourself a timer and you try to write down as many different ways as you can get to that goal as possible. So that is one. Or you can, without setting that time limit, you can just aim to, for example, find 25 or 20 different ways how to achieve that goal. And here it's really important to let your mind roam free, write down anything that comes to your mind, even if it seems unrealistic, whatever. It's basically the purpose of this exercise is to help you think outside of the box. And sometimes option A might seem unrealistic, option B might seem unrealistic, but when you actually combine or take something out of option A and option B, you might find a solution that you haven't thought of before. So having that kind of a list. Another thing that you can do is you can basically start breaking it down into all the steps that need to happen for you to get that job. So for example, you could go backwards. You could say, okay, to get a job, I need to attend the job interview. To attend a job interview, I'll probably need to send some CVs to several companies. If I want to send those CVs, I first need to find those remote jobs for this particular position. If I want to be that kind of a developer, maybe I need to create a learning plan. How do I know what I'm going to learn? Well, I'm going to review jobs, postings, and analyze the requirements that there are. Maybe sign up for some courses and so on. So you can create the whole plan. It can be linear. It doesn't have to be. where you basically break it down into smaller steps and use it as a living, well, not set in stone, like a living document that you can revise. It's just there to help you get to where you want to be. You might find out that after a few months, some of the steps you don't really need to pursue. Some new steps will appear because life has its own ways, but it's always good to have some sort of a brain dump. Sorry. Then we are going to set a first intermediate goal. So like I will call it a smaller goal. This is a short / midterm goal. And what is important about this particular goal, I think that it's important that we don't set more than 3 intermediate goals. Again, it's more of a finger in the air. But if we set too many goals, we're probably going to spread ourselves too thin. It is really important for this one to set yourself a deadline. So when I said about the big goal, well, you may not always have enough impact on how long it's going to take to get to a certain place. When it comes to those intermediate goals, you definitely have a bit more impact. And if you set yourself a deadline, for example, I would say probably not more than 3 months. Otherwise, you might start procrastinating, thinking you have a bit too much time. I would say 3 months, you set yourself a deadline, and then you work towards that goal. In the meantime, really important to still revise. Is my vision and are my goals still relevant? Because, we're humans, we are changeable. Life changes, life throws different things at us, different experiences, and it's really important to reflect if we're going the right way. An example actually of the intermediate goal. We could, for example, say, I will review 30 job listings for React developers, both in Poland and abroad. So this is an example for a Polish person, and list all the required skills, as well as analyze which of them are the most sought after, and give yourself a deadline by the end of January, for example. We'll then get to creating a weekly plan. And at this stage, we focus on short-term planning with regards to our midterm goal. Now, the terminology gets complicated, but basically we do ideally weekly, can be 2 weekly, like fortnightly checkups, check-ins. I personally recommend a weekly one because it gives me the right momentum, the nice dynamics. What we do, we review the previous week and we plan for the upcoming week. So we basically ask ourselves, what have we done? What didn't go well? If you work in a Scrum environment, it's a kind of a retrospective vibe. And then we plan what we're going to do, how much we're going to squeeze into the week, what our main points of focus are. What's important here, to make our lives easier, we can build systems. So we can establish regular actions that will help us create lasting habits as per the repetition. We can plan regularly. I personally plan every week on Sunday evening, and it's the same day, same time, unless something happens. But I really try to stick to that routine, and this way I have the kind of momentum, and I'll remember that it is time for myself. And I don't see it as a chore. I see it as time for myself. I sit down and just really reflect. It doesn't take long, 15 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes. It depends how much journaling I want to do. But it's just kind of nice check-in. And yeah, try to be flexible. Plans can change. It's always worth putting some buffer in so that we don't get overwhelmed, just again like you would do when you plan sprints at work. However, the most important thing is that we need to take action. And as James Clear said, winners and losers have the same goals. What does it mean? Well, we can set goals, we can use nice shiny pencils or pens and highlighters, we can make the most wonderful, beautiful plans. However, if we don't actually execute them, they are pretty much worthless. Well, maybe we get a bit of satisfaction that we create a nice plan, but it's not really taking us any closer to where we want to be. So it is really important to act, as you probably know. And after this session, I was wondering, or I would like to invite you to think about the smallest action they can take within the next 24 hours that will bring you closer to achieving your goals. Again, please remember that one action that is actually taken is better than 10 actions that are not taken. So if you have one takeaway from this session and this one thing that you're going to do within 24 hours, that's perfect. And then it's worth specifying when exactly you will do it. So that is my task for you. If you like to take part in this, take that first step. So this is basically about breaking down the goals. It is pretty straightforward. So we've got a big goal, break it down to milestones, we brainstorm, we set a midterm goal, and then we do weekly checks and obviously summarize after, I don't know, 3 months whether we've achieved the goal or not, whether it's still the goal that we want to pursue or not, if we have any reflections. Now, I would like to tell you a little bit about the most common pitfalls when it comes to achieving goals, because well, we all have been there, myself included. Pitfall number 1, not writing down your goals. As I said at the beginning, the Harvard study? No, this is another one. It is Dominican University of California. Individuals who write down the goals achieve 20% greater success than those who do not. Yeah, it's quite interesting that writing things down has so much power, but you know, it doesn't really cost much writing things down. So we could at least try and see how it goes. Again, remembering about setting the goals in a very specific way, a very precise way. Pitfall number 2, getting too focused on the end goal. If we all the time think about the vision, about the end goal, it might have the effect of making us feel overwhelmed and losing motivation. So again, as I said, if we want to have 1 million followers on Instagram or whatever else, a huge goal we want to have, there's nothing wrong with having that goal. It's great to aim high. If that's something you want, absolutely go for it. However, if you feel like thinking about this number is only demotivating you on a daily basis because you only see how far it is, you know, you still have to go. And let's be honest about it. They'll always, you know, we'll always be pushing ourselves more, and we'll never arrive, you know, at the place where we want to be. There'll always be something more to do. And so it's important to focus on the vision, but it's also very important to focus on the smaller goals that are ahead of you and eat the elephant one piece at a time. Also remembering to appreciate all the stuff that you've done already, because we often lose sight of that, and it's really important to reflect on that. Sorry. Setting overly large long-term goals. Again, something that I've said a moment ago, the motivation overwhelm and the illusion that there's still plenty of time that leads to procrastination. So if you don't break the goals down, you get to a point where, okay, 1st of January, you think, okay, I want to lose, let's say 10 kilo or however many pounds that is. I wanted to lose 10 kilo. And yeah, okay, that's my goal to the end of December 2025. What's the problem with this goal? Well, the problem is that you think, okay, I still have 12 months. How about I start in February? And then, you know, in February you think, oh, well, actually it's winter, doesn't make any sense. I'll start running when the spring comes. And we all know where this is heading. You probably not get to it until mid-December, and then you'll be sitting and miserably thinking like, oh my God, I wasted a whole year. So again, breaking things down and working towards smaller goals and putting a little bit of a deadline on yourself, like a healthy deadline, is going to aid. Too many goals. Well, another huge challenge. It's not really a problem because it's good that you do have goals and you do want to do stuff, and you know, you're excited about things, but it is a challenge, and it is something that makes achieving goals really difficult. If you think about like a laser beam, if you start spreading it into, I don't know how many beams, the power will not be quite the same. It's the same with your time, with your attention, with your focus. If you try to do everything at once, chances are, that you will not be able to achieve what you want. So I would advise having maximum 3 goals at a time, and because you run in those like shorter sprints, let's say 3 months planning, you don't have to feel bad about like not pursuing a certain goal. You just know that, okay, you may be postponing it for 3 months, but now you put all your attention on these 3 particular goals. Or even better, if you have one main goal that you want to focus your attention on for the past 3 months, and then 2 secondary goals that are slightly less important but also priority, you could work this way as well. It's an option. Focusing on how much is left. Again, I alluded to that a few minutes ago. Just being discouraged, just looking, oh, how much is there left? How much, when are we going to get there? And we don't often look back at all the journey that's behind us, how much we've already done, where we're at, how much we've learned. So learning to monitor our progress, and also celebrating every single win along the way, because again, it is about enjoying the journey, not only chasing for those goals. It's meant to be an enjoyable process. Chasing goals that aren't yours, again, I touched upon that earlier. You won't succeed if you're working against yourself, pursuing goals that aren't truly yours. The life vision has to be yours. Otherwise, it's very difficult to imagine that you will be happy if you're just doing things against yourself. And I know really well, just a bit of a personal story, I did a university course that I did not want to do, but I decided being an engineer is a great career. I graduated and I did really well, but it cost me a lot. And I don't know, was it worth it? I don't really have any regrets, but it definitely wasn't mine, and I'm now being really careful about what feels mine and what doesn't, and I allocate my energy accordingly. And please do make sure that you do that as well, because otherwise you can end up in not a great place. Failing to set boundaries with others and with ourselves. I touched upon that in the previous presentation as well. When we work too long and too much, we can we can end up being burned out. It is the people who burn out. Please remember that. So if you're really passionate about something, that's fantastic, but you also need to watch out for the other side of the coin, which is potential burnout. So take care of yourself, don't overwhelm yourself. Plan time for recovery, set rules for working towards your goal, maybe set some upper and lower limits, how much you want to work on something, for how many hours minimum, how many hours maximum, how you're going to regenerate and restore that energy. And this is again all about energy management, which I did a webinar about like a month ago. Lack of commitment. Engaging activities and receiving support from the community provides the best chance for achieving your goals. I think that might be one of the reasons why we are in this READ community. We looking for people who like-minded people who are also striving for the things that we are striving with, sharing our values and so on. And research shows that we're going to achieve way better results when we work with someone, when we have some sort of accountability buddies. I personally did that twice, working in an accountability buddy group, and it had amazing results. Also in a program where people were accountability budding, if I can say so, and it worked out really, really nicely. And so having someone to have those maybe even weekly check-ins with, it really motivates you, and it really helps you to get the stuff done, even on the days when you don't feel like it. And let's be honest, we don't always feel like it. Another pitfall is actually a cognitive distortion, which is all or nothing thinking / black and white thinking / binary thinking. What is it? It is that we basically think we either do something, we either go 100% or we don't do it at all. And it is the kind of a mindset that says, I've already had one piece of chocolate, so it doesn't really matter. I might as well eat the whole bar and start tomorrow. Or, it's Wednesday today. Wednesday's not such a, clean sheet day. I'm going to start on Monday. Or I am going to stuff myself with a lot of food over Christmas, and I'll start in January. I mean, if that's your choice, it's absolutely fine. It's all up to you. However, it is a pitfall because we always like that fresh start, that clean slate. That's why I wanted to encourage you to do something within the next 24 hours, not just wait for January, because yeah, that's where we might end up. We'll just not end up doing the things we want to do. So even if you can't complete 100% of the plan, aim for 50, 20, or even 10%. Again, it's not really about execution as such. It's more about building the relationship with yourself. It's about discipline. It's about building self-trust. So, you know, if you had a friend that was promising you things and was constantly canceling, your relationship would suffer in the end. And you might even think, well, I don't want to be friends with that kind of person anymore. However, we think that doing it to ourselves is okay. It's not necessarily okay. So if we promise something to ourselves, let's at least show up. And even if we do that 10%, obviously there are situations where we just have to let things go. Absolutely normal. We're all humans. But focus on the fact that it's not always about results, not always about execution. It's about how you build the relationship, how you cultivate the relationship that you have with yourself. Failing to track progress. Well, people who set realistic tasks for the goals and report their progress weekly achieve 40% more than those who don't. Again, that comes from research. So if you don't track progress, you lose momentum. That's why I recommend those weekly or bi-weekly check-ins with yourself, or ideally, if you can, with an accountability buddy, with a friend, someone who's also working towards certain goals. Another pitfall, I understand that there are quite a lot of them. So yeah, it sounds a bit like a list, but there's quite a lot of interesting, well, hopefully interesting, useful stuff there. So I'll try to cover all of them. Submissive attitude towards goals. It's all about how we talk about goals as well. How often will we say that, oh, I have to lose my weight, or I have to start doing this, or I have to stop doing this? The truth is we always have a choice. And if we put ourselves in this kind of submissive, you know, victim mode that, oh yeah, I have to do this is not really empowering. So think about yourself as, you know, a person who actually is holding the steering wheel. So instead of saying I can't do X, you can say I don't do X. Instead of saying I can't eat sweets, well, of course you can't eat sweets, but you choose not to. So you can say I don't eat sweets, or I choose not to eat sweets. Instead of saying I have to study, well, no one's really forcing you to study, are they? Like, you have a choice. You don't have to study. You can just, you know, stay in the place where you are currently. You can say instead, I want to study, or I've decided to study. So even the language, and the language has huge impact on the neuroscience of our brain. So it's worth making sure that we phrase things correctly, and that we actually take care of, again, that relationship that we have with our different selves that are in us, from the psychological point of view. Setting goals aren't challenging enough. Another bit of research that shows that 90% of people achieve better results when pursuing meaningful and ambitious goals. Meaningful goals that are aligned with your vision. So these are the goals that actually make your heart sing. Ambitious goals that require effort. So if something's too easy, we probably won't do it. I don't know if you've heard about the Goldilocks effect. So, you know, if we do something that's like too simple, we'll be like, well, that's not really exciting. If we do something that is really, really difficult and we can't deliver, we can't achieve the goal, well, we're going to get discouraged. So we need to find that that golden middle. I don't know if that's an English phrase. We need to find that the balance, we need to find the equilibrium, the centerpiece, where we have enough of a challenge, and but at the same time we're not discouraged and we're not bored. Three more, and that's it. Lack of reflection. Again, if we just set goals for the whole year and we don't reflect, we might wake up one day and realize we spent a year or a few years working towards something that is not really ours anymore. It might be the case that it was ours 3 years ago, but humans change. Humans, we grow. We also grow sick of certain things. So something you really enjoy doing at one point, maybe now you don't really enjoy it that much, or maybe you need to approach it in a different form, in a different shape. So always reflecting if the goals are still relevant is key. Delaying the start. Delaying the start fuels procrastination. So what I would advise when you commit to a goal, and that's the coaching approach, you immediately take a small step. Again, within 24 hours, for example, you set yourself a small action that you're going to do, whether it is writing something down in your calendar right away, whether it is making a call, whether it is doing some research. You immediately take action. You don't wait for that January the 1st. And this is something that I like to encourage you to do. Not to get into the habit of waiting for, nice, shiny day to start. The day is today and tomorrow is not guaranteed. As doomed as it sounds, it's better to start now. Too much planning and not enough doing. If you are planning a lot and if you're not executing, well, you're still in the same place, just with a better plan. And perfectionists probably know that really well. Again, I know that from my own experience, making beautiful plans and then just not doing anything with them, putting them in a drawer and then ending up being in the same place. So tackle procrastination, focus on taking action as soon as possible. And if you struggle, you can try to find someone to support you, whether it's an accountability buddy, whether it's a coach, someone that in the lovely community that we have here, just get stuff going. So the key points for today. Having live vision and working towards our goals means taking responsibility for our lives. And there's nothing more empowering than that, at least in my view. Your vision should define your goals, and your goals should guide your daily actions and habits. Again, in my opinion, this sequence is really important. If we set goals and then we try to fit them into our vision, then something may not be quite right. We need to sort of know where we're going and check if the goals are fitting nicely into the vision. And then obviously the daily actions should be more or less directly feed into our goals. Obviously, not every single action will feed into our goals. That's not the point, but there should be certain alignment. And then planning and goal setting phase is just the beginning. Having nice plans is lovely, but having nice plans that we act upon is even lovelier. So action is the key to success. And that is something that is trivial. We all know that. But we have to do something with it, with that knowledge as well. So as I said, I would like to encourage you to set an action that you're going to take in the next 24 hours with regards to your goals. Feel free to share in the chat if you feel brave enough. If not, keep it to yourself. That's also absolutely fine. And what's next? I would like to, I'd like to recommend 2 books to you. Essentialism by Greg, whose surname I can't pronounce. This is basically about focusing and, if you have too many things going on, how to extract the real essence. Really easy, book that you will read in a few days. And then Start with Why, Simon Sinek. You've probably heard about this one as well. Simon Sinek is an expert that a lot of us are probably familiar with. If you'd like to say hi, you can scan the QR code and connect with me on LinkedIn. If you have any more questions after the session, or if you'd like to follow up on anything, please feel free to message me. And apart from this, my question is if you'd like to ask any questions, or if you have any thoughts that you'd like to share. Thank you. Everyone's already working on their goals, the actions happening in the background. Okay, so if that's it, I think we can wrap up. As I said, if you'd like to approach me with any further questions, I'm happy to help. I hope this session was useful. Sorry about my coughing. Yeah, thank you.